That was like, you described it as a voyage of discovery.
Yeah,
remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable.
Japan's a funny place. I'm sorry, I'm still reading. I sort of feel I should be in my underpants giving this interview, but there we are.
That would be nice. No, I think many of your person would enjoy that.
Japan, I visited gardens all over the world.
Yes.
Lots and lots and lots. But
Sure.
Japan is the most different place in the world to the West, anyway. Yeah. So that you go along, you think, oh, yeah, they've got cars and computers. They're all the same as us, and I know about dry gardens, and there are rocks and there are gravel. Yeah. Well, it's a lot more to it than that, and a lot to learn. Yeah. And so there's this kind of overload. After you've been there a few days, you suddenly think, oh, gosh, I really need to get to grips with this. Sure. So I basically became a student. And thought, OK, I'll find out, and I'll share what I find out. You cannot imagine how precision is redefined. You can't
go off it by a millimetre.
We went to one little garden, big, glorious garden called Kenrokuen. And I noticed there were these women dressed in blue with fantastic sort of straw hats, and they were crouched like this, and I couldn't work out what they were doing. And there were a whole load of them, and they were all day. And what they were doing was weeding out individual blades of grass from moss under trees.
Wow.
With tiny little sort of scalpels, taking them out. Almost like sort of stitching, you know, like but doing the reverse. And that was just one tiny bit. And they tie up the trees, and they have 500 gardeners in this garden.
Wow.
To string up these trees.
Jeez, that's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible.
I mean, I find gardening really therapeutic. I like weeding. I'm a bit odd. No, I'm not a good gardener at all, but I just love it. I just love, pottering and being there. And there's something about weeding, for me anyway, that is so satisfying. I feel the world is better.
That means you're a true gardener.
Ah.
Because, you see, weeding, if you like weeding, you got it. You understand it.
Good. And that's coming from you.
Because it means that it's not about prize roses or being bigger than anyone else or better or impressing the neighbours. It's about your connection with the earth and with the sounds around you and the fact that plants are growing. And it's tactile, it's real, it's intimate.
And it makes you feel better. I mean, I know, you know, Help for Heroes, the charity that does a lot of work for wounded soldiers and their families. They do a lot of gardening, and they find that really helps people who are suffering from traumatic stress.
It's a big thing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work going on at the moment. Yeah. And there's a big project going on at Oxford, which I'm just sort of starting to get involved in, with gardening and mental health. Yeah. And there's real evidence that it helps.
Oh, absolutely.
But not very precise evidence, so they want to research it.
Oh, right, well, that makes sense.
There's empirical evidence, and there's no question that it does. It's a healing process.
Very much so, very much so. You just feel better. You're outside, you're doing something constructive, and you're doing something that you love. And that connection that we often don't have with the earth anymore.
It is. Well,
we don't.
Connection with nature, full stop.
Yeah.
You know, for many, many people, a garden is the nearest they get to the natural world.
That's true.
You know, we see it on telly, we travel, we all fly all over the world and see these things. But actually what you're talking about with your weeding, the robin that just perches a few feet away from you.
That's
or
true.
The beetle that scurries away. Or maybe, you know, just you might just see something, a rare bird or something, just pop up and it's in your garden and your space and it's talking to you. Or that blackbird that is singing to you, you know, and that's what's...
Oh, it's magical, absolutely magical, as is this whole thing about Japan. I mean, because, as you said, it's very, very different. Very different outlook to us, very different. But through gardening, you've found out so much about the culture as well.
Do you know, years ago, I remember coming here to this building of the BBC, many, many years ago, and getting a programme commissioned, and the commissioner saying to me, I want you to get under the skin of a culture through their gardens.
Right.
And I thought that was a brilliant sort of way of seeing it, is that if you understand people's gardens, you're understanding not just their plants and their geology and their weather and their climate that they have to live with, but how their approach to nature, how it treats them, their whole attitude. You know, the Japanese thing, which is incredibly respectful of history and culture and society. So they make gardens now that could have been made 800 years ago. Right. But they don't see them as historical gardens. They see them as part of a living culture. Whereas if we made a garden that was Elizabethan, it would be a recreation.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Whereas they make it, it's real, it's now, it belongs to the 21st century, but in that tradition. And so that, immediately you think, that's really interesting. That tells me something about Japan.
It's on tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, BBC.
9 o'clock, BBC Two.
It's not to be missed. You can just wallow in it. It's absolutely lovely. Now, look, it's Valentine's Day today. Are you an old romantic?
Well, sort of.
Okay. I mean, you've been together for such a long time. You met your soulmate. You are very lucky. You've got your soulmate, both of you.
I met Sarah 40 years ago.
Wow.
And immediately fell in love with her.
You just knew?
Yeah, I did know. It was. She was married to someone else at the time, which was slightly awkward. But
just a bit.
Yeah, but there we go. But I did literally know the minute I met her. And we've been together sort of since then. And yeah, it's the great blessing of my life.
Oh no, absolutely, and it keeps you. It lets you. What's brilliant about you two is you do your own thing, she does her own thing, and then you're together as well.
Yeah, but really for instance, the garden, for example, we do together.
Yeah.
The cooking do together. We do the most important thing is that she is the person I like most, I love most, I trust most, I want to be with most, and that's you know all that sort of thing.
If you get that right, it's good. I love the fact that right now, when I said to you this morning, any advice on gardening, what should I be doing right now? And you said nothing, and I love that. It's the only time of year that you're allowed to do that, really, isn't it? Just you know, go for a wee walk, you know, feed the birds.
Absolutely.
That's all you need to do.